You want change that lasts, and not another list of ideas you forget by next week. This audiobook gives clear and usable methods to build steady habits and keep moving forward every day. Hear how small choices shape your hours, feel how your focus tightens when distractions are removed, and notice how quiet confidence grows when you follow a simple plan for long enough. You will get practical steps you can use right away to design a morning pattern that actually works for you, set goals that guide each day, and keep track of progress so you always know what to do next. You will learn how to stop letting notifications and random tasks steal your attention, how to recover quickly when a hard day hits, and how to protect time so your growth is not an afterthought. This is not about sudden motivation or extreme routines. It is about steady actions you can repeat even when you are tired, upset, or busy. Expect clear examples, short exercises, and real rules you can test tonight. By the end, you will have a short plan to use tomorrow morning and a mental habit to make follow-through easier. Stay through the full audiobook to hear the one simple practice most people miss and to get a short daily routine that supports real change. If you are ready to improve bit by bit every day, this guide will show how to keep that progress going. Chapter 1. Build a daily routine that strengthens your personal discipline. Building a daily routine that strengthens your personal discipline begins with understanding that your day is not just a stretch of hours to pass, but a structure that shapes your character. Every choice you make from the moment you open your eyes influences the strength of your discipline. This chapter guides you through the simple but powerful idea that discipline is not created in one moment, but through repeated actions that reinforce your ability to stay committed to your goals. Personal discipline grows when you practice intentional behavior each day. You do not need to be perfect or extreme. You simply need a routine that helps you act with purpose. When your days become structured with actions that matter, you begin to trust yourself more. You begin to feel in control of your life, and you experience growth that feels stable and real. Many people struggle with discipline because their daily actions are scattered. They wake up with vague thoughts about what they want to accomplish but no clear steps. A routine solves this problem in a simple way. It gives your mind a pattern to follow. It reduces confusion and hesitation. It removes wasted time and makes your day predictable in a healthy way. Predictability does not make life boring. It makes you consistent, and consistency leads to confidence. A daily routine does not have to be strict or complicated. It only needs to support the life you want to build. One thing you learn when studying human behavior is that people do not rise to the level of their potential, but fall to the level of their habits. When your habits are weak, your discipline collapses under pressure. When your habits are solid, your discipline becomes part of who you are. Building a routine starts with understanding your mornings. The first hour of your day sets the tone for the rest of it. When you wake up and immediately turn to activities that drain your mind, you weaken your discipline before the day begins. When you wake up and focus on actions that strengthen your clarity, you build a foundation for stronger discipline. It does not matter what time you wake up. It matters what you do once you are awake. A simple and strong morning routine might involve sitting in silence for a few minutes to prepare your mind, drinking water to refresh your body, organizing your tasks for the day, and beginning your first task without delay. These small actions help you take control of the day instead of being carried by it. One of the most powerful elements of a daily routine is the concept of creating a first win early in the day. When you complete something small right away, you build momentum. That momentum reduces procrastination and strengthens your confidence. Confidence is important because your mind performs better when it believes you can handle your responsibilities. People who struggle with discipline often start the day with activities that take energy away instead of giving energy. They reach for their phone and scroll for long periods. They jump into minor distractions before accomplishing a single meaningful task. This drains mental strength and reinforces the habit of reacting instead of initiating. When your routine begins with intention, your discipline becomes easier to maintain. Another key part of a strong daily routine is clarity. Discipline becomes difficult when you are unsure what to do next. Your mind wastes energy deciding and questioning. A routine eliminates this noise. When you know the structure of your day, you can focus your energy on doing instead of deciding. This reduces stress and builds powerful habits. A simple way to increase clarity is to write down your main tasks the night before. When you wake up, you already know what you need to do. This supports a sense of direction. You move through the day with purpose. Purpose always strengthens discipline. Many people think discipline requires constant motivation, but motivation is temporary. You cannot depend on it. Some days you feel inspired, other days you wake up without energy. A routine protects your progress on the days when motivation is low. You follow the routine because it is part of your identity, not because you feel excited. This is the difference between people who grow consistently and people who grow only when conditions feel perfect. When you follow a routine, even on days when you feel tired, you develop mental resilience. This resilience shows you that discipline is something you control. It is not dependent on your mood. Your routine should also include moments of recovery. Discipline is not about pushing yourself without rest. It is about managing your energy wisely. When you include time to breathe, relax, or clear your mind, you increase your ability to stay consistent. A balanced routine strengthens your discipline because it teaches you how to work with intensity and rest with intention. Many people burn out because they push themselves without structure. A routine prevents this by giving you a healthy rhythm. This rhythm protects your mental clarity and helps you continue your growth without falling into exhaustion. Another vital part of building discipline through your routine is deciding what you will stop doing. Discipline is not only about adding good habits, it is also about removing habits that weaken you. Your routine should identify which activities waste your time and reduce your focus. Maybe you check your phone too often. Maybe you watch too much content that distracts you from your goals. Maybe you spend long periods thinking about tasks instead of starting them. When you remove or reduce these behaviors, you create space for stronger habits. A disciplined routine is built on simplicity. The simpler your routine, the easier it is to maintain. One mistake people often make is creating routines that are too strict. They try to change their entire life in one day. This leads to frustration because they cannot maintain such a sudden shift. A strong routine must be sustainable. It should fit your lifestyle and support your long-term goals. Start with small steps. Add 1 or 2 habits at a time. Once these habits feel natural, you can expand your routine. Discipline grows when you repeat small actions consistently. Trying to do too much at once damages your progress and reduces your confidence. A simple routine done every day is more powerful than a perfect routine done once a week. A helpful way to strengthen your routine is to attach your habits to specific times of the day. When habits have a fixed place in your schedule, they become easier to follow. For example, you might stretch for 5 minutes after waking up. You might review your goals every morning before starting work. You might read for 10 minutes before going to sleep. These actions create structure. Structure removes decision fatigue. When you eliminate unnecessary decisions, your discipline becomes easier to maintain. Your environment also influences your routine. Discipline becomes easier when your environment supports your goals. If your surroundings are full of distractions, your routine becomes harder to follow. If your space is organized and calm, your routine becomes smoother. This does not mean your environment needs to be perfect. It simply needs to support your growth. Placing items you use daily in visible areas Keeping your workspace uncluttered and limiting access to distractions can make a big difference. When your environment supports your actions, your mind follows with ease. Discipline also strengthens when your routine aligns with your values. When you understand why your actions matter, you become more likely to follow them. If you value health, then your routine should include activities that support your body. If you value learning, then your routine should include time for reading or studying. If you value peace, then your routine should include moments of silence or reflection. A routine built on your values feels natural. It resonates with your identity. This connection makes discipline feel meaningful rather than forced. You also strengthen your discipline when your routine includes small moments of reflection. Reflection helps you understand your actions and identify areas for improvement. A few minutes at the end of each day to review what went well and what needs adjustment can help you grow steadily. This practice improves self-awareness and teaches you how to adapt your routine. When you adapt your routine based on what you learn, you create a personalized system that fits your life. This adaptability keeps your discipline strong because you respond to your needs with intention instead of ignoring them. Building a disciplined routine requires honesty. You need to be honest with yourself about what is working and what is not. Many people cling to routines that look good but do not support their growth. Others avoid routines because they fear structure. Honesty helps you find the balance you need. You learn to recognize your weaknesses without judging yourself. You learn to acknowledge your strengths and use them to your advantage. Discipline grows when you approach yourself with honesty and self-respect. Another essential part of a strong routine is accountability. When you hold yourself accountable, you strengthen your discipline. Accountability does not mean punishing yourself when you fall short. It means taking responsibility for your actions. It means acknowledging when you did not follow your routine and understanding why. It means adjusting your behavior with patience instead of frustration. Accountability builds trust between you and yourself. When you trust yourself, you follow through more consistently. You also build discipline when you make your routine predictable but flexible. Predictability helps you stay consistent. Flexibility helps you adjust when life changes. A routine that is too rigid breaks easily. A routine that is too loose falls apart. You need a routine that gives you structure, but allows room for unexpected events. Life does not always go as planned. When your routine adapts without collapsing, you maintain your discipline even in difficult times. Another powerful way to strengthen your discipline is to simplify your decisions. Many people weaken their discipline by giving themselves too many choices. They ask themselves repeatedly whether they should start a task or delay it. They debate small decisions until they lose momentum. When you adopt a routine, you remove unnecessary choices. You follow the plan. This improves your mental strength and protects your consistency. The fewer decisions you leave to chance, the stronger your discipline becomes. You also develop discipline by understanding that your routine is a long-term investment. You may not see results immediately. Growth takes time. Discipline is built through patience and repetition. When you remind yourself that each small action contributes to your overall progress, you remain motivated even when results are slow. This perspective protects you from frustration and keeps you focused on the process instead of the outcome. A strong routine also requires self-respect. When you respect yourself, you follow through on your commitments. You do not break promises you make to yourself. You treat your time as valuable. Many people struggle with discipline because they do not see themselves as worthy of success. They treat their commitments casually. A routine helps you build self-respect. Each completed action strengthens your belief that you are capable of improvement. This belief is the foundation of strong discipline. You also need courage to build a disciplined routine. Discipline often requires doing things that are uncomfortable. You may need to wake up earlier, You may need to cut out habits that comfort you but slow your growth. You may need to do tasks you do not enjoy but are necessary. Courage allows you to push through discomfort. Over time, discomfort becomes familiar. You learn to handle it without hesitation. This ability to tolerate discomfort strengthens your discipline far more than motivation ever could. Another part of building discipline through your routine is focusing on what you can control. You cannot control the weather, the behavior of others, or unexpected events, but you can control your actions. You can control how you respond. You can control whether you follow your routine. When you focus your energy on what you can control, you build inner strength. This strength helps you stay consistent even when your environment is unpredictable. A strong routine should also reflect your current stage of life. Your routine at 20 may not work at 40. Your routine during busy seasons may not work during calmer ones. Adjusting your routine as your life changes is not a weakness. It is a sign of discipline. It shows that you understand your needs and are willing to adapt in a healthy way. Discipline is not about forcing yourself into a routine that no longer fits. It is about maintaining consistency through wise adjustments. One of the most important aspects of a daily routine is removing unnecessary stress. When your day is filled with chaos, your discipline becomes harder to maintain. Your routine should reduce stress by giving your mind structure. When you know what to expect, you feel prepared. Preparedness builds confidence. Confidence strengthens discipline. A routine should not make your life harder. It should make your life clearer. You strengthen your discipline when you celebrate small progress. Many people only celebrate large achievements and ignore the many small steps that led to them. These small steps are the foundation of discipline. When you acknowledge them, you reinforce your belief in your ability to grow. This belief keeps you consistent. It reminds you that discipline is not about perfection but persistence. A routine also helps you manage temptation. When you have free time with no plan, it is easy to fall into activities that distract you from your goals. When your routine fills your time with meaningful actions, temptation loses its strength. You know what you need to be doing, and you follow through. Over time, this reduces impulsive behavior and strengthens your self-control. Discipline also grows when you give attention to the first and last hour of your day. The first hour controls how you begin. The last hour influences how you end. When both are intentional, your day gains structure. Ending your day with reflection, calm, or planning prepares you for a stronger tomorrow. This routine supports your discipline by creating a continuous cycle of intention and awareness. A daily routine also teaches you about yourself. You learn when you feel most productive. You learn what tasks drain your energy. You learn how much rest you need. You learn which habits support your growth. This knowledge helps you create a routine that fits you, instead of trying to fit into a routine that belongs to someone else. Personal discipline becomes easier when your routine matches your natural strengths and limitations. A strong routine should also include moments of stillness. Stillness gives your mind a break from constant noise. When your mind is quiet, you think more clearly. Clear thinking improves decisions. Good decisions strengthen discipline. You do not need long periods of stillness. Even a few minutes can help you regain focus. These moments help you stay calm during stressful moments. They teach you how to center yourself instead of reacting impulsively. You also build discipline through repetition. Repetition reinforces habits. Habits shape your character. When you repeat positive actions daily, you develop traits that support your long-term goals. Discipline becomes natural rather than forced. Many people underestimate the power of repetition because the progress seems slow. But constant repetition builds strength. The longer you repeat a healthy habit, the stronger your discipline becomes. Another important element in building discipline is removing excuses. Your routine should not allow room for excuses. When you commit to a routine, you honor it, regardless of your mood. Excuses weaken discipline. They create gaps in your progress. They teach your mind that it is acceptable to quit when you face discomfort. A disciplined routine teaches your mind to follow through, even when conditions are not ideal. This mindset creates real strength. You also strengthen your routine by evaluating it regularly. What works today may not work next month. Life changes. Responsibilities change. Priorities change. A disciplined person reviews their routine and adjusts it with intention. This keeps your routine useful and effective. When your routine stays aligned with your goals, you follow it with greater commitment. One of the most overlooked elements of discipline is energy management. A strong routine helps you protect and direct your energy. Energy is limited. You need to use it wisely. A routine that drains you becomes unsustainable. A routine that balances effort and recovery becomes powerful. When your energy is well managed, you remain disciplined throughout the day, instead of only during your strongest moments. A disciplined routine also helps you avoid negative emotions that slow your progress. When your day is unstructured, you may feel overwhelmed or uncertain. These emotions make discipline difficult. A routine provides stability. Stability reduces confusion. Reduced confusion increases confidence. Confidence supports discipline. Your routine becomes the foundation that keeps your emotions steady. You strengthen your discipline when you view your routine as a practice rather than a test. A test can be passed or failed. A practice is continuous. It allows mistakes. It allows learning. When you view your routine as practice, you approach each day with patience. This patience supports consistency. Consistency builds discipline. You become less critical of yourself and more focused on growth. A routine also helps you stay connected to your purpose. When you move through your day without structure, your goals fade into the background. A routine keeps your goals in front of you. It reminds you why you are trying to improve. This connection strengthens your discipline because it gives meaning to your actions. When your actions have meaning, your motivation increases naturally. Discipline grows when you develop the courage to start over when needed. There will be days when your routine falls apart. Unexpected events happen. You may feel tired or overwhelmed. Discipline is not destroyed by one difficult day. It is strengthened when you return to your routine the next day. This ability to start again keeps your progress steady. It teaches you resilience. Your routine becomes stronger when you protect your focus. Focus is a powerful tool. When your routine includes periods of uninterrupted work, your productivity increases. Increased productivity reinforces your discipline. You learn that focused effort produces results. This encourages you to continue following your routine. Building discipline through a daily routine is one of the most effective ways to improve your life. It helps you manage your time, strengthen your mind, and stay committed to your goals. It teaches you how to act with intention rather than impulse. It gives you a sense of control and direction. When you build a routine that supports your growth, you become stronger, more focused, and more consistent. This chapter has shown that discipline is not a single action but a series of actions repeated daily. Your routine shapes your habits. Your habits shape your character. Your character shapes your future. When you build a routine that strengthens your discipline, you take control of your life in a way that brings long-lasting improvement. You do not need perfection. You need intention, patience, and consistency. With these qualities, your routine becomes a powerful tool that guides you toward a stronger and better version of yourself every single day. Chapter 2. Create simple habits that support steady, lifelong self-improvement. Improving your life in a steady and lasting way begins with the habits you repeat each day. Simple habits carry a power that often goes unnoticed because they do not produce dramatic results instantly. They work quietly. They work slowly. They work in small steps that seem insignificant at first, yet these small steps create the foundation for lifelong improvement. When you create simple habits that you can follow without pressure or stress, you give yourself a reliable path toward growth that does not depend on motivation or ideal circumstances. You create progress that feels stable and honest. You create change that fits naturally into your daily life rather than overwhelming you. Many people try to improve their lives by setting goals that sound impressive but require too much effort to maintain. They start with excitement but cannot sustain the intensity. Simple habits solve this problem by focusing on ease rather than pressure. A habit that is small but consistent builds more progress than a habit that is large but short-lived. You do not need to fill your day with endless tasks to grow. You need habits that you can repeat without thinking too much, habits that feel realistic even on difficult days, habits that reinforce the type of person you want to become. The first step in creating simple habits is understanding what you truly want to improve. Many people try to follow habits that do not match their real needs. They copy routines from others without considering whether those routines fit their life. Improvement becomes sustainable when your habits support your values. If you want better health, choose habits that help your body feel stronger. If you want more knowledge, choose habits that keep your mind active. If you want peace, choose habits that reduce stress. When your habits match your goals, you feel more connected to them, and you follow them with a sense of purpose rather than obligation. It is helpful to start with only a few habits at a time. When you try to change every part of your life in one moment, you create frustration. You begin with excitement, but the weight becomes too heavy. Starting with small habits allows you to make progress without feeling overwhelmed. You might read a few pages each day, stretch for a few minutes, keep your space tidy, write your thoughts in a journal, or practice a moment of reflection. These habits may seem minor, but they build strength in your mind. They make you more aware of your actions. They encourage you to stay consistent even when life becomes busy. Another important part of building habits is keeping them specific. A habit that is vague becomes difficult to follow. When you know exactly what to do and when to do it, the habit grows faster. For example, instead of deciding to exercise more, you choose a simple action like walking for 10 minutes each morning. Instead of deciding to learn daily, you choose to study a subject for a short period at the same time each day. The clearer the habit, the easier it becomes for your mind to accept it as part of your daily life. Habits grow stronger when you perform them in the same environment. Your surroundings influence your behavior more than you realize. A quiet space encourages focus. A clean room encourages calm. A designated spot for reading encourages practice. When your environment is aligned with your habits, you feel less resistance. Your brain recognizes the cues and prepares for action. Over time, these cues create an automatic response, making the habit easier to maintain without relying on willpower. Another way to build lifelong habits is to make them enjoyable. Improvement does not always need to feel like hard work. When you attach pleasure to your habits, you look forward to them. You feel motivated to continue because the process feels good, not just the outcome. Enjoyment can come from the sense of progress, the calm that follows, or the pride of completing something meaningful. When your habits become a source of satisfaction, they stay with you longer. It is also helpful to track your habits in a simple way. You do not need complicated systems. A small mark on a paper, a note in your phone, or a mental check can help you stay aware of your progress. Tracking creates a sense of commitment. It reminds you of the effort you are putting in. It gives you a clear view of how consistent you have been. When you see your progress build day after day, you feel encouraged to continue. This awareness strengthens your discipline and helps you stay focused on your goals. Many people abandon their habits when life becomes stressful. They believe that improvement can only happen when everything is calm. In reality, habits are most important during difficult times. When you continue your habits, even during stress, you protect your growth. You show yourself that improvement is not dependent on perfect conditions. You prove that your commitment is stronger than your challenges. This mindset creates inner stability and helps you develop a sense of control over your life. Another key element of simple habits is the willingness to adjust them when necessary. Habits are not permanent rules. They are tools for growth. As your life changes, your habits may need to change too. This is not a failure. It is a natural part of growth. If a habit becomes too difficult or loses meaning, you can modify it. You can reduce the time, shift the schedule, or refine the action. Adjustment keeps the habit alive and prevents burnout. The goal is not perfection. The goal is improvement that continues throughout your life. Lifelong self-improvement requires patience. Simple habits work slowly. They do not transform your life overnight, but they create steady progress that becomes powerful over time. When you repeat a positive action each day, you build strength in your character. You become more disciplined. You become more aware. You learn to trust yourself. This trust becomes the foundation for larger changes. Without patience, habits fall apart. With patience, they become part of your identity. It is important to recognize that some days will be easier than others. Some days you will feel motivated. Other days you will feel tired or distracted. Simple habits protect your progress on the days when your energy is low. You may not complete every task with the same enthusiasm, but you complete it. You do not allow temporary feelings to determine your actions. This consistency builds resilience. It teaches you that improvement does not require perfect performance. It requires persistence. You also strengthen your habits by acknowledging your efforts. Many people focus only on what they have not done. They overlook the progress they make. Acknowledging your effort builds confidence. Confidence supports consistency. When you feel proud of your actions, you continue them willingly. You reinforce the belief that you are capable of change. This belief carries you forward even when challenges appear. Another way to support lifelong improvement is to choose habits that simplify your life rather than complicate it. When your habits help you stay organized, calm, and focused, they free your mind from unnecessary stress. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. Your days feel more manageable. Improvement becomes natural because your life becomes easier to handle. Simplicity creates stability. Stability supports growth. You also build strong habits by removing pressure from the process. Improvement is not a competition. It is a personal journey. When you stop comparing your progress to others, you discover a sense of peace. You follow your habits for your own growth, not for approval. This mindset makes your habits more meaningful. It helps you stay committed for the right reasons. Another important part of creating simple habits is preparing for obstacles. Every habit faces challenges. You might feel tempted to skip a day. You might feel impatient. You might experience unexpected events. Planning for these moments helps you stay consistent. You create backup plans. You prepare alternatives. You recognize that obstacles are normal. This awareness protects your progress and keeps your habits stable. You also support steady improvement by choosing habits that create long-term benefits. Some habits offer quick satisfaction but no lasting value. Others feel small but create deep positive changes over time. When you choose habits that strengthen your mind, your body, or your spirit, you invest in a stronger future. You build a version of yourself who is more capable, more focused, and more confident. Simple habits succeed when they become part of your identity. When you see yourself as someone who grows daily, your habits become easier to maintain. Identity shapes behavior. When you believe in your ability to improve, you act in ways that support that belief. You complete your habits not because you are forced to, but because they match the person you want to be. Lifelong improvement also requires honesty. You need to be honest about the habits that help you and the habits that hold you back. You need to look at your actions without excuses. Honesty helps you choose habits that truly support your growth. It helps you break patterns that slow your progress. It builds self-awareness, which is necessary for deep and lasting change. You also strengthen your habits by surrounding yourself with people who value growth. Your environment influences your behavior. When you spend time with individuals who improve themselves, you feel encouraged to do the same. Positive influence makes your habits easier to maintain. It reinforces your commitment and reminds you that growth is a natural and worthwhile part of life. Simple habits create steady, lifelong improvement because they build momentum. Momentum makes growth easier as time passes. What feels challenging in the beginning becomes natural later. What feels small eventually becomes powerful. You stop relying on motivation and instead rely on consistency. You gain confidence in your ability to grow a little each day. Your life changes when you recognize that improvement is not a single event but a continuous process. Simple habits guide that process. They help you grow at a pace that feels honest and sustainable. They help you stay connected to your goals without overwhelming your mind. They help you develop discipline without harshness. They help you create a life that reflects your potential. When you commit to simple habits, you choose a path of steady transformation. You gain clarity, you gain strength, you gain control. You build a foundation for future growth that feels stable and meaningful. With each day you practice these habits, you create a life built on intention rather than chance. You move forward with confidence. You build a future that reflects your best self. Chapter 3. Remove small distractions that pull you away from growth. Removing small distractions that pull you away from growth begins with recognizing how quietly these distractions enter your life. They do not appear as major problems. They show up as harmless moments that slowly accumulate until they steal hours from your day without you noticing. These distractions weaken your focus and interrupt your progress. They scatter your attention and make it difficult to stay committed to what matters. When you learn to identify and remove these small distractions, you take back control of your time and your mind. You create a space where improvement becomes easier and more natural. Many people assume distractions come only from loud or obvious sources, but the truth is that the most damaging ones are subtle. They are small actions you repeat out of habit, not intention. You might check your phone for a moment and lose 20 minutes. You might open a video for entertainment and end up consuming content that adds nothing to your growth. You might begin a task with focus, but allow small interruptions to pull your attention away. These moments seem minor, yet they break your rhythm and weaken your discipline. Growth requires attention, and when distractions take that attention, your progress slows. Understanding the impact of small distractions requires honest observation. You need to pay attention to how you spend your day. You may believe you are productive, but a closer look reveals that your focus is divided into tiny fragments. You begin something important, but your concentration is interrupted by thoughts that do not matter. You check notifications, reply to unnecessary messages, or browse information that offers no value. Each interruption may take only a few seconds, but your mind needs time to refocus afterward. When this happens repeatedly, your energy becomes scattered. This prevents you from entering a state of deep focus where meaningful improvement occurs. Removing distractions begins with awareness. When you are aware of what pulls you away, you can take steps to reduce it. Awareness does not require judgment or guilt. It requires calm observation. You simply notice when your attention drifts. You acknowledge the moment without frustration. This awareness gives you a sense of control. It shows you that you can choose where your focus goes. Once you understand your patterns, you can create changes that protect your attention. One of the most common forms of distraction comes from digital devices. Phones and computers provide instant stimulation. They deliver information quickly, but this speed can become addictive. A single notification can interrupt your thought process. A short break can turn into a long delay. When you use your devices without intention, they shape your behavior in ways that do not support your growth. The goal is not to eliminate technology, but to use it with discipline. You can silence notifications during focused work. You can place your phone out of reach when you need to concentrate. You can set specific times to check messages rather than doing it constantly. These simple actions protect your attention and give you more control over your environment. Another source of distraction comes from your physical surroundings. A cluttered space creates mental noise. When your environment is disorganized, your mind struggles to focus. You may look at objects that remind you of unfinished tasks or unnecessary responsibilities. This pulls your attention away from the present moment. Keeping your space clean and orderly reduces mental strain. It helps your mind stay calm and focused. You think more clearly when your surroundings support your intentions. Internal distractions can be just as disruptive as external ones. These distractions come from your own thoughts. You may think about past mistakes, future worries, or imaginary scenarios that add nothing to your growth. These thoughts pull you away from your tasks and reduce your clarity. Learning to manage your internal distractions requires mental discipline. You can practice bringing your attention back to what you are doing each time your mind wanders. Over time, this repetition strengthens your concentration. You develop the ability to focus deeply without being carried away by unnecessary thoughts. Removing small distractions also requires setting boundaries. When you allow others to interrupt you freely, your focus becomes vulnerable. You may feel obligated to respond immediately to every request or message. This prevents you from giving full attention to your priorities. Setting boundaries does not mean avoiding people. It means communicating your needs clearly. You can explain when you need uninterrupted time. You can protect certain hours of your day for your growth. Boundaries create space for focus. They allow you to complete tasks with intention rather than constant interruption. Another effective way to reduce distractions is to structure your day with clear time blocks. When you assign specific periods for focused work, you give your mind a clear expectation. During these blocks, you avoid unrelated tasks. You commit to completing one activity at a time. This reduces multitasking, which often leads to mistakes and mental fatigue. Focused time blocks help you stay in control of your day. They prevent distractions from creeping in and pulling you off course. Small distractions also weaken your energy. Each interruption requires mental effort to recover from. When your energy is drained, your motivation decreases. When motivation decreases, your growth slows. By removing distractions, you protect your energy. Your mind stays sharper. Your focus becomes stronger. You complete tasks faster and with greater quality. This improvement increases your confidence and encourages you to continue your growth. Many people underestimate how much time they lose to minor distractions. They assume they do not have enough time to improve, yet they spend hours on activities that provide no benefit. When you identify these hidden time drains, you see how much potential you have been giving away. This realization is empowering. It shows you that you have more control than you thought. Removing distractions gives you more time for learning, reflection, rest, and meaningful action. Removing distractions also requires taking responsibility for your attention. You cannot control everything around you, but you can decide how you respond to it. You can choose what you allow into your mind. You can choose what you ignore. You can choose how you spend your time. Responsibility strengthens discipline. It reminds you that your growth depends on your decisions, not on circumstances. When you take ownership of your attention, you build a strong foundation for personal improvement. Another powerful method for reducing distractions is practicing presence. Presence means giving your full attention to what you are doing. When you are present, distractions lose their power. You become more aware of your actions. You engage with your tasks more deeply. Presence improves your productivity and increases your sense of fulfillment. You feel better when you give your best to the moment in front of you. Removing distractions also involves improving self-control. This does not mean forcing yourself harshly. It means choosing long-term benefits over short-term comfort. When you resist small temptations, you strengthen your inner discipline. Each act of self-control builds your character. It teaches you to stay committed to your goals even when distractions appear. Over time, this becomes easier. You gain confidence in your ability to focus on what matters. A key part of handling distractions is simplifying your daily life. When your life is filled with unnecessary tasks, your mind becomes scattered. Simplifying your priorities helps you focus on actions that truly matter. You remove responsibilities that drain your time without adding value. You create room for growth. This simplicity brings clarity. Clarity reduces distractions. With fewer demands pulling at your attention, you become more effective and more intentional. Another important idea is creating habits that support focus. When you have routines that encourage concentration, distractions struggle to pull you away. You might start your day with a quiet moment. You might work in a clean space. You might turn off devices during important tasks. These habits create an environment where focus becomes natural. They make it easier to remain consistent with your growth. You also strengthen your ability to remove distractions by recognizing the difference between urgent and important tasks. Not everything that demands your attention deserves it. Many distractions appear urgent but offer no value. When you focus on tasks that align with your goals, you protect your time from false urgency. You become more intentional with your decisions. This discipline helps you grow steadily. The process of removing distractions teaches you patience. You learn that improvement happens gradually. You start to value quiet progress over fast results. You become more aware of the patterns that shape your life. This awareness gives you the power to make better choices. Removing distractions becomes not only a practice, but a mindset. You start to notice when something is pulling you away from who you want to become. You stop allowing these small interruptions to control your day. When you clear distractions from your life, you create mental space for meaningful growth. You think more clearly. Your actions become deliberate. You feel more in control of your time. You experience moments of calm that help you connect with your goals. This clarity makes it easier to change your habits. It makes improvement feel steady rather than forced. You begin to notice how much more you can accomplish when your attention is not scattered. Removing small distractions is not about isolating yourself from the world. It is about choosing what deserves your attention. It is about honoring your goals and respecting your time. It is about creating a life where growth is supported rather than interrupted. When you take this step, you free yourself from unnecessary noise. You create a path where your focus is protected. You give yourself the opportunity to grow without constant interference. When you commit to removing distractions, you gain strength that influences every part of your life. You become more disciplined. You become more aware. You become more capable of staying on track even when challenges arise. Growth becomes easier because your mind is no longer pulled in many directions. With each distraction you remove, you make more room for progress. You build a life that reflects intention, clarity, and direction. Chapter 4. Track your progress daily to stay focused and motivated. Tracking your progress each day is one of the most effective ways to stay focused and motivated because it gives you proof that your efforts matter. Many people work hard but feel lost because they cannot see how far they have come. When you track your progress, you give yourself a clear view of your direction. You gain awareness of what is working and what needs adjustment. You build confidence from the evidence of your own actions. Instead of relying on feelings, you rely on facts. This creates a strong foundation for steady improvement. Daily tracking keeps your mind connected to your goals. Without this connection, it is easy to drift into old habits or distractions. Days blend together, and you lose sight of your intentions. When you spend a few minutes each day recording what you did, how you felt, and what you learned, your mind stays aligned with your purpose. You create a personal roadmap that reminds you why you started and why you must continue. Tracking transforms improvement from something vague into something measurable. Motivation becomes more stable when you see progress written clearly. Your mind responds strongly to visible proof. Even small steps feel meaningful when you see them accumulate. A day that feels ordinary becomes valuable when you recognize the actions you completed. Progress that once seemed slow becomes obvious when you track it. This awareness keeps you committed. It reduces frustration and helps you stay patient with the process. Steady improvement becomes easier to appreciate because you are no longer guessing, you are observing. Tracking also helps you stay honest with yourself. Many people believe they are improving, but their actions do not match their intentions. Others underestimate their progress and feel discouraged even though they are growing consistently. When you track your actions, you remove confusion. You see the truth clearly. You identify patterns you could not see before. You learn what supports your progress and what slows you down. Honesty builds self-respect, and self-respect strengthens discipline. One valuable benefit of daily tracking is clarity. Your mind becomes more organized when you write down your progress. You stop carrying every detail in your thoughts. You free mental space. This clarity helps you stay focused on what matters most. You understand your priorities with greater certainty. You know which habits deserve more attention and which ones need adjustment. This awareness helps you choose your actions wisely and avoid wasting time on things that do not contribute to your growth. Daily tracking does not require complicated tools. You can use a notebook, a simple app, or even a single sheet of paper. What matters is consistency. The act of writing is more important than the method. Tracking becomes powerful when it becomes part of your daily routine. You do not need long entries or deep analysis every day. A few clear notes are enough to maintain awareness. The simplicity of tracking makes it accessible for anyone, no matter how busy their life is. Another important reason to track your progress is to measure your consistency. Improvement depends on repetition. When you track your actions, you see whether you are consistent or not. You gain insight into how often you show up for yourself. Many people underestimate how much consistency matters. They believe intensity alone brings results, but without repetition, intensity does not last. Tracking teaches you the value of steady effort. You recognize how small actions, repeated daily, create meaningful change over time. Tracking also helps you recognize your strengths. Many people focus only on weaknesses, but this limits growth. When you record your daily wins, you learn where you naturally excel. You discover behaviors that come easily to you. These strengths can be used to support other areas of improvement. You build confidence by acknowledging what you are doing well. Confidence fuels motivation. Motivation fuels consistency. Tracking these strengths helps you build a positive cycle that keeps you moving forward. In addition to strengths, tracking shows you the obstacles that repeatedly appear. Some challenges return often, and without awareness, they continue to disrupt your progress. When you track your days, you begin to see these patterns clearly. You understand what triggers your setbacks. You learn how your environment, energy, levels, or emotions affect your behavior. This understanding allows you to prepare for obstacles rather than be surprised by them. Preparation increases control. Control increases confidence. Another powerful benefit of daily tracking is the ability to celebrate progress in real time. Growth often feels slow because you experience it daily. But when you review your progress after a week or a month, you see how much you have actually accomplished. This recognition builds motivation. You stop feeling discouraged because you can see how far you have come. Many people quit too early because they underestimate their progress. Tracking prevents this by showing you the truth. Tracking your progress also strengthens your accountability. When you record your actions, you become responsible for them. You cannot hide from your own records. This accountability encourages you to show up with honesty each day. You begin to take your commitments more seriously because you see the effect of your choices. Accountability helps you build trust with yourself. When you trust yourself, your confidence grows. When your confidence grows, your commitment deepens. Another important aspect of tracking is adjusting your strategy when necessary. Improvement is not a straight line. Some methods work for a while and then stop being effective. Some habits need refinement. When you track your progress, you can see when change is needed. You adjust your approach without losing your balance. This flexibility keeps your goals alive. You avoid becoming stuck. You remain adaptable, which is essential for long-term growth. Tracking also helps you build emotional awareness. Your emotional state affects your behavior. When you record how you felt during the day, you gain insight into how your emotions influence your actions. You notice patterns when you feel energized, when you feel discouraged, when you lose focus, and when you feel balanced. This awareness helps you manage your emotions instead of letting them guide your behavior. Emotional understanding strengthens discipline because you learn to separate feelings from actions. Daily tracking supports mental clarity by helping you reflect on your decisions. When you review your day, you learn from your actions. You grow from your choices. You see the consequences of your behavior clearly. This reflection sharpens your judgment. You become better at choosing the right actions in the future. Growth becomes intentional rather than accidental. Tracking your progress also strengthens your patience. When you see your improvement unfold gradually, you understand that meaningful change takes time. This understanding keeps you calm during slow periods. You stop expecting instant results. You stop feeling frustrated when progress is subtle. You learn to trust the process. Daily tracking helps you appreciate the journey rather than rushing toward the destination. Another benefit of tracking is the ability to reconnect with your goals when you feel distracted. Life can pull your attention in many directions. Responsibilities, challenges, and unexpected events can cause you to lose focus. When you track your progress, you remind yourself daily of what matters. This brings your attention back to your goals. It keeps you grounded in your purpose. You remain aligned with your direction even when life becomes chaotic. Tracking also helps you build discipline in small ways. Writing down your progress each day is a simple act, but it reinforces your commitment. It trains your mind to pay attention. It strengthens the habit of self-reflection. These small acts create discipline over time. Discipline built through small actions becomes permanent and reliable. Finally, tracking your progress helps you see your life as something you shape through your choices. Each entry is a reminder that your actions matter. You gain a sense of ownership over your improvement. You stop feeling powerless. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You become an active participant in your growth. This mindset transforms the way you approach your goals. You develop confidence in your ability to change. You become more focused, more determined, and more consistent. Daily tracking is not about perfection. It is about awareness. It is about understanding your path, honoring your efforts, and learning from each day. When you commit to tracking your progress, you give yourself the clarity and motivation needed to continue growing steadily. You build a stronger connection to your goals. You make intentional decisions. You stay on track even during difficult periods. And with each day you track, you move closer to becoming the person you want to be. Chapter 5. Set clear goals that guide your actions every day. Setting clear goals that guide your actions every day is one of the most powerful steps you can take to build a life of direction and purpose. Without clear goals, your days become reactive. You handle tasks as they come, but you rarely make meaningful progress toward the life you want. Clear goals give you structure. They shape your decisions. They help you focus your time and energy on actions that truly matter. When you know what you want, you move through the day with confidence instead of confusion. A clear goal is more than a desire or a wish. It is a defined direction that gives your mind something specific to work toward. Many people stay stuck because their goals are vague. They say they want to improve their health, grow financially, or develop emotionally, but they do not define what that improvement looks like. Vague goals produce vague results. Clear goals produce clear progress. The more specific you are, the easier it becomes to act with intention. Setting clear goals begins with understanding yourself. You need to know what you truly want, not what others expect from you or what sounds impressive. When your goals come from your values and priorities, you feel more connected to them. You stay committed because the goal reflects who you want to become. This connection creates stronger motivation and makes daily discipline easier to maintain. Once you understand what you want, you can break your goals into smaller steps. This step is essential because trying to leap toward a large goal all at once often leads to frustration. When you break your goals into small, manageable actions, you give yourself a clear path forward. You know exactly what needs to be done each day. This reduces stress and increases consistency. Each completed step builds momentum and strengthens your confidence. Your goals should also be realistic. This does not mean limiting your potential. It means creating goals that you can pursue with steady effort. When your goals are too extreme, you feel overwhelmed. You doubt yourself. You procrastinate because the task feels impossible. Realistic goals allow for progress at a healthy pace. They make improvements sustainable. When you set goals that match your current stage of life, you avoid burnout and build long-term discipline. Clear goals also help you prioritize. Without priorities, you may spend your day on tasks that feel urgent but do not contribute to your growth. You react to demands instead of acting with purpose. When you identify your most important goals, you give yourself permission to focus on what matters and let go of what does not. Prioritization reduces chaos. It brings order to your day. You use your time wisely because you know which actions deserve your attention. Goals become more effective when you connect them to a reason that matters to you. Your reason gives your goal strength. It becomes the foundation that keeps you committed during difficult periods. When you understand why a goal is important, you stay disciplined even when progress feels slow. You do not rely on temporary motivation. You rely on purpose. Purpose produces strength that lasts. Another important part of setting clear goals is reviewing them regularly. Goals guide your actions, but life changes. Your needs, circumstances, and priorities shift over time. Reviewing your goals helps you stay aligned with your current direction. It allows you to adjust without losing momentum. Some goals may need refinement. Others may no longer serve your growth. Reviewing your goals keeps them alive and relevant. Clear goals also protect your focus. When you know what you want to accomplish, distractions lose their power. You stop giving attention to activities that slow your growth. You become more intentional because every action is measured against your goals. Focus becomes easier because you have a filter that guides your decisions. You do not waste time trying to figure out where to place your energy. Your goals show you the way. Setting clear goals also strengthens your discipline. When you define what you want, you create a sense of responsibility. You feel accountable for your progress. You commit to following through because your goals are specific. This accountability pushes you to act even when you feel tired or uncertain. Discipline grows from clarity, and clarity grows from knowing exactly what you aim for each day. A clear goal also helps you measure your progress. Without measurement, you cannot see how far you have come. When you track your progress toward your goals, you gain confidence. You learn from your mistakes. You understand what works and what does not. Measuring progress also helps you stay motivated because you see evidence of your effort. You no longer guess whether you are improving. You know. This knowledge encourages you to continue. Goals guide your decisions throughout the day. When a new demand or opportunity appears, you can evaluate whether it aligns with your goals. If it supports your growth, you move forward. If it distracts you, you decline. This clarity reduces stress and prevents you from overcommitting. Many people feel overwhelmed because they say yes to everything. Clear goals give you the strength to say no when necessary. You protect your time because your goals matter. Your goals also shape your mindset. When you set a clear goal, your mind becomes more alert. You begin noticing opportunities, ideas, and strategies that you overlooked before. Your awareness expands because your mind is focused on a direction. This shift helps you grow faster because you recognize chances to improve. Your goal becomes a lens that reveals possibilities you could not see before. Setting clear goals also strengthens your resilience. When challenges appear, you do not lose your way because your destination is clear. You may slow down, but you do not stop. You may adjust your strategy, but you do not abandon your direction. Resilience grows when you have a defined purpose. You understand that setbacks are part of the journey, not a sign to quit. A clear goal keeps you grounded during difficult times. Daily goals are especially powerful because they make improvement consistent. A large goal can feel distant, but daily goals bring the journey into the present moment. You focus on what you can do right now. You stop worrying about everything that lies ahead. You build progress, one day at a time. Daily goals create structure. They simplify your tasks. They give you a sense of accomplishment each day. This daily success builds long-term success. Clear goals also help you avoid wandering through your day with no direction. When you wake up with a goal, your actions have purpose. You begin the day knowing what you need to achieve. This prevents you from falling into passive routines or unproductive habits. You start your day with intention and end your day with satisfaction. Each day becomes part of a meaningful journey instead of a random collection of tasks. When you set goals for each day, you learn to use your time wisely. Time becomes a resource you protect rather than something you waste. You learn to plan your day based on what matters. You schedule tasks that support your goals. You prioritize actions that bring you closer to your direction. This planning strengthens your focus and reduces the tendency to procrastinate. You feel more organized and in control. Clear daily goals also teach you how to adapt. Some days will bring challenges or unexpected events. When this happens, you can adjust your goals without losing your commitment. Adapting does not mean giving up. It means changing direction while staying aligned with your purpose. This flexibility makes your progress more stable. You stop expecting perfection and start valuing consistency. Clear goals influence how you use your energy. When you know what matters, you avoid wasting energy on unimportant tasks. You direct your effort toward actions that create results. This prevents burnout. Many people exhaust themselves doing things that do not support their growth. When you set clear goals, you protect your energy and invest it wisely. Your goals also help you stay connected to your long-term vision. Each short-term goal supports a larger outcome. This connection gives your daily actions meaning. You understand that every small step contributes to something greater. This understanding makes your journey more satisfying. You stop underestimating small efforts because you know they lead somewhere meaningful. When you reach a goal, no matter how small, you strengthen your belief in yourself. Accomplishment builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. Consistency builds character. Each completed goal becomes evidence of your ability to grow. This evidence motivates you to aim higher. You no longer doubt your potential because you see what you can achieve. Setting clear goals is not about creating pressure. It is about gaining direction. It is about living with intention. It is about choosing growth instead of drifting. When your goals are clear, your actions become purposeful. Your decisions become easier. Your progress becomes steady. You gain clarity, confidence, discipline, and motivation. Each day becomes an opportunity to move closer to the life you want. Clear goals guide your actions, shape your mindset, and strengthen your commitment. They turn your intentions into reality and your dreams into achievable steps. When you set goals that reflect your values and protect your time, you build a life driven by purpose instead of chance. With each day you follow your goals, you move closer to becoming the person you aspire to be. Chapter 6. Choose small steps that keep your momentum moving forward. Choosing small steps that keep your momentum moving forward is one of the most reliable ways to build lasting progress. Many people stop improving because they believe growth must come from large, dramatic actions. They set high expectations, push themselves beyond their limits, and then collapse under the weight of unrealistic pressure. But real growth does not happen in giant leaps. It happens in steady movement. It happens when you commit to small, consistent steps that build strength day by day. When you understand the power of small actions, you stop waiting for perfect moments and start improving with what you can do right now. Momentum is fragile. It grows slowly and disappears easily. One overwhelming task can stop your progress. One bad day can break your rhythm. But when your steps are small, you remove the pressure that usually leads to quitting. You make it easier to begin, easier to continue, and easier to complete your tasks. Small steps require less emotional force, which means you can take them even on days when your energy is low. This consistency protects your momentum and keeps your improvement steady. The key to choosing small steps is breaking down your goals into actions that feel simple and manageable. If you want to build a new skill, start with a small practice session each day. If you want to improve your health, begin with small movements instead of intense routines. If you want to grow emotionally, start with a few minutes of reflection rather than long sessions. When your steps are small, you remove the fear of starting. You reduce resistance. You give yourself the chance to succeed each day. Small steps also teach you discipline without overwhelming your mind. When you commit to tiny actions, you create a pattern of behavior that becomes easier over time. The mind adapts to repetition. When you repeat something daily, even for a short period, it becomes part of your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who follows through. This identity shift is powerful because it changes the way you approach challenges. You stop doubting your ability to grow and start trusting your capacity for consistency. Choosing small steps allows you to build emotional resilience. Big tasks often create pressure and anxiety. Small steps, however, feel safe and doable. This reduces stress and helps you stay calm throughout the process. When you focus on the small action directly in front of you, You avoid overwhelming yourself with the entire journey. You stay present. You stay balanced. You stay grounded in the moment rather than worrying about how far you still have to go. Small steps also help you overcome procrastination. Procrastination thrives when tasks feel too large or complicated. When you tell yourself you only need to take one simple step, the mind becomes more cooperative. You begin without hesitation. Once you start, continuing becomes easier, because the hardest part, beginning, is already done. This small action interrupts the cycle of delay and replaces it with movement. Momentum builds naturally when your steps are consistent. Each completed action creates a sense of satisfaction. That satisfaction encourages you to continue. You develop a rhythm that supports progress. This rhythm becomes a silent force that keeps you moving, even when motivation fades. Motivation may come and go, but momentum carries you forward with less effort. Small steps strengthen this force by ensuring you always have something manageable to work on. Another important aspect of choosing small steps is recognizing that progress does not need to be impressive. Progress only needs to be real. Many people judge their growth by comparing themselves to others. They dismiss small improvements because they believe success must appear dramatic. But small progress accumulates. Each step adds to your strength. Each action improves your confidence. Each day you continue creates a deeper habit. Over time, these small efforts produce results that are far greater than anything gained from sudden bursts of effort. Small steps also help you build the habit of consistency. Consistency is not created through pressure, it is created through repetition. When your actions are small, you remove the excuses that usually prevent consistency. You no longer wait for the right mood or the right time. You do what you can now, and that creates a stable foundation for growth. This approach teaches you that improvement is something you create, not something you wait for. Choosing small steps requires patience. You must accept that meaningful progress takes time. Many people quit because they expect results too quickly. They underestimate the value of slow improvement. When you choose small steps, you embrace the idea that growth is a process. You stop rushing. You stop expecting instant transformation. You learn to respect the pace of your journey. This patience strengthens your mindset and prevents discouragement. Small steps also create flexibility in your routine. Life often changes without warning. If your tasks are too large, disruptions break your flow, but small steps are easy to adjust. Even during busy days or stressful moments, you can still complete something small. This flexibility keeps your momentum alive when life becomes unpredictable. You maintain progress without feeling overwhelmed. Another valuable benefit of small steps is learning to appreciate effort rather than perfection. When you focus on huge goals, you may become overly critical of your results. You judge yourself harshly and create unnecessary pressure. Small steps shift your attention from outcomes to daily effort. You begin to value your commitment rather than your speed. This perspective builds a healthier relationship with growth. You learn to see progress as a daily practice rather than a finish line. Small steps help you build clarity. When you take one small action at a time, you learn what works and what does not. You gather information about yourself. You discover your strengths and your limitations. This clarity allows you to adjust your approach with accuracy. You make better decisions because you learn through experience rather than assumption. Each small step teaches you something new about your path. Momentum becomes easier to maintain when your steps fit naturally into your daily life. Large tasks often require special conditions. Small steps do not. They fit into your routine with less friction. This makes your progress more stable. You do not depend on ideal circumstances to grow. You grow because you choose actions that are simple enough to perform under nearly any condition. Small steps also help you build confidence in your ability to change. Each time you complete a simple action, You prove to yourself that you are capable of progress. These small victories build a stronger self-image. You begin to believe in your potential. This belief fuels your determination. Confidence grows from action, not from imagination. The more actions you complete, the stronger you feel. Choosing small steps also protects your mental energy. Large tasks drain your focus before you even begin. Small actions require little energy, allowing you to preserve mental strength for consistent effort. When you manage your energy wisely, you stay balanced and avoid burnout. Your mind remains sharp and steady. This balance supports long-term improvement because you are not constantly recovering from exhaustion. Another benefit of small steps is that they help you build momentum without rushing. You do not force progress. You allow it to grow naturally. This steady approach keeps you stable during setbacks. When challenges arise, you do not break down because your progress is not dependent on intensity. It is dependent on consistency. Small steps give you the resilience to continue, even during difficult times. Small steps also encourage self-awareness. You become more conscious of your habits, your decisions, and your tendencies. This awareness helps you avoid behaviors that weaken your progress. You gain a deeper understanding of what holds you back. You learn to adjust your actions with greater precision. This self-awareness becomes a powerful tool for long-term growth. Choosing small steps teaches you discipline in a gentle way. You do not need to push yourself to extremes. You simply show up each day and complete a manageable action. This approach strengthens your ability to stay loyal to your goals. Discipline becomes less about force and more about consistency. You learn to act with intention rather than impulse. The power of small steps lies in their ability to create lasting habits. A large action may bring quick results, but small actions create permanence. When a habit is easy, your mind accepts it more naturally. Over time, these small habits shape your character. They influence your decisions. They build the type of person who continues improving without hesitation. Small steps keep you moving, and movement is what creates change. A day of small progress is always better than a day of none. When you choose the next simple action, you prevent stagnation. You avoid falling into patterns of inaction. You create a rhythm that supports your growth. This rhythm builds momentum, and momentum builds transformation. Your journey becomes smoother when you stop forcing yourself to make giant leaps and instead focus on what you can do today. Small steps remind you that improvement is always within reach. They show you that progress is possible even when life is difficult. They help you stay focused, grounded, and balanced. They keep you moving forward in a way that feels sustainable and honest. When you choose small steps, you commit to a path of steady progress. You build strength slowly but firmly. You create momentum that carries you forward. You develop consistency, patience, confidence, and clarity. You stop feeling overwhelmed and start feeling empowered. Small steps shape your future by shaping your actions one day at a time. They remind you that you are capable of improvement and that growth begins with the next simple action you choose to take. Chapter 7. Practice patience daily to develop long-lasting consistency. Practicing patience daily to develop long-lasting consistency begins with understanding that growth requires time, and time demands calm commitment. Many people give up too soon because they expect results to appear quickly. They assume improvement should feel fast, exciting, or dramatic. When progress moves slowly, they believe something is wrong with them, but nothing meaningful grows under pressure or impatience. The truth is that consistency thrives when you learn to wait without losing direction. Patience is not passive. It is a steady strength that helps you stay focused on the process instead of rushing toward the outcome. Daily patience protects you from emotional reactions that often interrupt progress. When you feel frustrated, you may want to abandon your efforts. When you feel bored, you may want to shift your focus to something easier. When you feel uncertain, you may question your goals. Patience helps you stay steady during these moments. It gives you the mental space needed to continue, even when your emotions pull you in different directions. With patience, your actions remain intentional instead of reactive. Building consistency requires learning to appreciate slow progress. Many people underestimate how powerful small improvements are because they do not see immediate results. They expect transformation to be visible right away. But growth often happens quietly. It happens inside your mind, inside your habits, and inside your behavior long before it becomes noticeable to others. When you practice patience, you give yourself permission to grow at a natural pace. You stop pressuring yourself and start trusting the process. This trust becomes the foundation for long-term consistency. Patience also helps you manage setbacks in a healthy way. No matter how committed you are, you will face moments when your routine falls apart or your motivation weakens. Without patience, setbacks feel like failure. With patience, setbacks become learning moments. Instead of quitting, you adjust. Instead of feeling discouraged, you stay grounded. Instead of rushing to fix everything at once, you return to your practice one step at a time. This calm approach gives you stability. It strengthens your ability to remain consistent despite obstacles. Practicing patience daily starts with how you talk to yourself. Many people speak harshly to themselves when progress feels slow. They criticize their pace. They compare themselves to others. They convince themselves they should be further along. This self-criticism creates tension that damages consistency. When you adopt a patient mindset, you replace harshness with understanding. You acknowledge your effort instead of attacking your progress. You support yourself the way you would support someone you care about. This self-respect encourages steady improvement and protects your long-term commitment. Another part of practicing patience is learning to stay present. When you focus too much on the future, you may feel anxious. When you dwell on the past, you may feel discouraged. Patience brings your attention back to the current moment. This helps you engage fully with the task in front of you. You stop rushing to finish. You stop worrying about what comes next. You focus on doing your best today. Presence strengthens consistency because it prevents your mind from drifting into overwhelming thoughts. You move one day at a time, which makes long-term growth manageable. Patience also teaches you emotional control. When things take longer than expected, frustration naturally arises. Practicing patience means learning to respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively. You breathe through the discomfort. You acknowledge your feelings without letting them guide your decisions. This kind of emotional maturity helps you stay consistent even when the journey becomes difficult. You learn to continue your routine despite temporary emotional discomfort. Over time, your emotions lose the power to derail your progress. Developing patience requires slowing down your pace intentionally. Many people rush through their actions as if speed will bring better results, but rushing leads to mistakes, stress, and burnout. When you slow down, you gain clarity. You become more aware of your behavior. You understand your patterns. You reduce unnecessary pressure. This calm pace helps you maintain consistency because your efforts feel sustainable instead of exhausting. Slowing down does not mean reducing effort. It means working with presence rather than haste. Patience also strengthens your relationship with discipline. Discipline becomes difficult when you expect immediate rewards. You feel tempted to quit when results are not visible. Patience counteracts this by shifting your attention from the outcome to the action itself. It teaches you to value effort even when the reward is still far away. This shift builds inner strength. You rely on your commitment rather than temporary excitement. You build consistency because your discipline is anchored in patience, not in mood. Another essential aspect of practicing patience is accepting that growth is not linear. Some days will feel easy, others will feel slow or heavy. Progress may speed up and then stall. These fluctuations are natural. Patience helps you move through them without losing your consistency. You understand that a slower day does not erase your effort. You remain calm when progress appears to pause. You trust that your actions still matter even when results are not obvious. This level of acceptance builds emotional resilience and keeps you committed long-term. Patience also helps you avoid the trap of overworking. When you push yourself too aggressively, you may feel productive for a short period, but eventually you collapse. Consistency disappears when you exhaust your mind and body. Patience encourages balance. It reminds you to respect your limits. It shows you that slow and steady effort is more sustainable than intense bursts followed by long rests. This balance keeps you engaged and prevents burnout, allowing you to maintain your routine for as long as necessary. Daily patience also shapes your expectations. Many people expect perfection from themselves. They believe they must always perform at their highest level. This unrealistic expectation leads to disappointment and inconsistency. Patience helps you accept that not every day will be perfect. Some days you will move slower. Some days you will feel uncertain. Some days you will do less than planned. Patience teaches you to appreciate effort without demanding perfection. This mindset keeps you consistent because you no longer punish yourself for being human. Practicing patience each day also requires controlling your environment. Certain surroundings can trigger frustration or impatience. A cluttered space may cause restlessness. A noisy area may interrupt your concentration. An environment filled with distractions may tempt you to abandon your tasks. When you create a calm and organized space, you make it easier to remain patient. You reduce unnecessary triggers. You give yourself the support needed to move steadily through your routine. Patience strengthens when you learn to work with your energy instead of against it. Some days you have more energy and feel naturally driven. Other days require more intention. Patience helps you adjust your efforts based on your current state. You remain consistent not because you force yourself, but because you honor your needs. This approach creates stability. It allows you to continue without burning out or feeling guilty for moving slower. Another key part of patience is understanding that long-term change requires repeating simple actions consistently. Many people become impatient because they want dramatic transformation quickly. They forget that small daily actions eventually create deep improvements. Patience teaches you to commit to these actions even when progress seems invisible. You focus on showing up rather than rushing results. This practice builds character, strength, and reliability. Patience also deepens your self-awareness. When you slow down your expectations, you become more aware of your thoughts, emotions, and tendencies. You notice when frustration appears. You recognize when you are pushing too hard. You observe your reactions in different situations. This awareness helps you adjust your behavior more intelligently. You learn how to maintain consistency by understanding your inner world rather than fighting against it. Practicing patience daily builds inner peace. When you stop demanding immediate results, you remove a large amount of stress from your life. You approach improvement with calm instead of urgency. You feel less pressure and more confidence. This peace helps you stay committed because your journey becomes less chaotic. You no longer feel rushed or overwhelmed. You take each day as it comes and use it wisely. Patience also enhances your ability to adapt. When you are patient, you accept that some days require flexibility. You adjust your plans without giving up your purpose. You remain committed even when circumstances change. This flexibility keeps your momentum alive. You stay consistent because you understand that progress sometimes requires small changes rather than rigid behavior. Over time, patience becomes a habit. It becomes a natural part of your identity. You no longer need to force yourself to stay calm. You respond to challenges with steady awareness. You approach your goals with confidence rather than fear. This transformation strengthens your consistency more deeply than any short burst of motivation ever could. When you practice patience daily, you develop a mindset that supports long-lasting improvement. You embrace slow growth. You stay committed to your routine. You remain calm during setbacks. You adapt to challenges. You trust the process. This combination creates consistency that lasts beyond temporary motivation. It shapes a version of yourself who does not quit when things become slow or difficult. Instead, you continue with clarity and strength because you understand that real growth demands time. Chapter 8. Stay committed even when challenges test your inner strength. Staying committed even when challenges test your inner strength begins with accepting that every meaningful goal will eventually confront you with difficulty. Challenges are not signs that you are on the wrong path. They are proof that you are moving towards something important. When life tests you, it is easy to question your ability, doubt your direction, or feel tempted to step away from your responsibilities. But true commitment is shown not when everything feels smooth, but when the path becomes heavy and uncertain. Your progress depends on your ability to remain steady during these moments of struggle. Staying committed during hard times strengthens your character and reinforces your purpose. Challenges often catch you off guard because they rarely arrive in predictable ways. Sometimes they appear as unexpected problems that disrupt your plans. Sometimes they come from emotional pressure, fatigue, or discouragement. And sometimes they show up as people or situations that drain your focus. Regardless of the form they take, challenges share a common purpose. They ask you to prove how much your goals mean to you. When you continue moving forward despite discomfort, you build a deeper connection to your commitment. You show yourself that your direction is stronger than the obstacles in front of you. One of the main reasons people lose commitment is the belief that progress should feel easy. This belief causes disappointment when difficulties arise. But improvement requires effort. Growth demands endurance. If the path to success required no strength, it would not change you. When you accept that challenges are part of the journey, you stop seeing them as interruptions and start seeing them as opportunities to strengthen your discipline. This shift in mindset empowers you to stay committed even when your confidence is shaken. Staying committed also requires managing your reactions. When challenges appear, your first response may be frustration, fear, or self-doubt. These emotions are natural, but they do not have to dictate your decisions. You can acknowledge them without surrendering to them. When you respond with clarity rather than emotion, you protect your progress. You give yourself space to think instead of acting impulsively. This self-control helps you stay committed even when your inner strength feels tested. Another powerful way to maintain commitment during difficult times is to remember why you started. Your purpose becomes your anchor. When you reconnect with the reason behind your efforts, you regain clarity. You remind yourself that the discomfort is temporary, but the outcome is meaningful. This connection helps you push through doubt. It reminds you that the path you chose matters, even when it feels demanding. Your reason becomes the fuel that keeps you moving when your energy is low. Challenges also reveal whether your habits are strong enough to support your goals. When life becomes difficult, your routine is the first thing that gets tested. If your habits are shallow, they break easily. If your habits are solid, they hold you steady. Staying committed means reinforcing habits that keep you aligned with your goals. This may require simplifying your structure, strengthening your discipline, or removing distractions that drain your mental strength. When your habits support you, challenges become easier to manage. Staying committed also means accepting that progress may slow during difficult moments. Slow progress does not mean failure. It means you are navigating reality with maturity. Many people quit because they believe consistency requires constant speed, but true consistency requires adaptability. When circumstances change, your pace may change. You might need more time, more patience, or more focus. This does not make your efforts any less valuable. Commitment is not measured by speed, it is measured by persistence. Inner strength grows when you push through discomfort. Discomfort is a natural part of growth. It challenges your limits and forces you to expand your capacity. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid improvement. But when you face it with courage, your resilience increases. Each time you stay committed in the face of difficulty, you become more capable of handling future challenges. Strength is built through repetition, and each challenge becomes a training ground for your inner growth. One of the most effective ways to protect your commitment is to break overwhelming challenges into smaller tasks. When you face something large, your mind may feel intimidated. You may feel unsure where to begin. This uncertainty weakens your motivation. But when you divide the challenge into smaller pieces, you create manageable actions. You reduce fear and increase clarity. You regain control. This approach helps you stay committed by showing you that progress is possible even during difficult times. Another key to staying committed is adopting the mindset that quitting is not an option. This does not mean forcing yourself to continue when something is genuinely harmful. It means refusing to abandon your growth because the journey becomes uncomfortable. When you remove the option of giving up, your mind becomes more creative, more disciplined, and more focused. You start looking for solutions instead of escape routes. This commitment builds mental toughness and teaches you how to handle adversity with strength. Surrounding yourself with supportive influences also helps you stay committed. When challenges arise, your environment can either weaken you or reinforce you. Negative influences may encourage doubt or discourage effort. Supportive influences inspire you to keep going. You may not always have people who understand your goals, but you can create an environment that nourishes your discipline. This might involve spending time in calmer spaces, setting boundaries, or seeking inspiration from sources that strengthen your mindset. Your environment plays a significant role in your ability to remain committed. Staying committed during challenges also requires honesty. You must be honest about what you feel, what you fear, and what you need. Many people pretend to be strong and hide their struggles. But honesty builds clarity. It allows you to address your difficulties with maturity. When you admit your feelings without letting them control you, you can manage challenges more effectively. Honesty helps you adjust your approach and stay committed in a way that aligns with your long-term goals. Another aspect of commitment is being willing to ask for help when necessary. Asking for support does not weaken you. It strengthens your ability to continue. Whether you seek advice, guidance, or encouragement, reaching out can give you the clarity you need to remain committed. Challenges may feel lighter when you share them with someone who understands. Support does not replace your effort, but it can reinforce it. Staying committed also means refusing to judge yourself harshly during difficult times. Self-criticism weakens your inner strength. When you attack yourself for struggling, you make the challenge even heavier. Instead, you can choose self-compassion. Compassion does not reduce discipline. It gives you the emotional stability needed to continue. When you treat yourself with patience and respect, you maintain the mental clarity needed to remain committed. Challenges often reveal how badly you want to achieve something. If your desire is strong, you find ways to continue. If your desire is weak, you find excuses. Commitment becomes stronger when your goal is deeply meaningful to you. When your goals reflect your values, your identity, and your future vision, you stay committed even when the journey becomes difficult. Meaning gives you the strength to endure. Staying committed also means accepting that temporary discomfort can lead to long-term improvement. When you focus only on how you feel right now, you may avoid effort. But when you focus on the person you want to become, you find strength to push through difficult moments. The discomfort becomes a symbol of progress. It becomes a reminder that you are growing. You learn to respect the effort because it shapes your character. The deeper your commitment, the more stable your progress becomes. Challenges no longer control you. Setbacks no longer break you. Temporary struggles no longer define you. You remain consistent because you trust your ability to continue. You stay disciplined because you understand the value of endurance. You remain focused because you know your direction. Staying committed, even when challenges test your inner strength, is the foundation of lasting growth. You learn to rise above doubt. You learn to act with intention. You learn to continue even when things become difficult. This ability becomes one of your greatest sources of power. It guides you toward the life you want and shapes you into someone who does not quit when life demands more. With each challenge you face and overcome, your inner strength expands and your commitment deepens. Chapter 9. Improve your mindset by repeating helpful thoughts daily. Improving your mindset by repeating helpful thoughts daily begins with recognizing that your inner dialogue shapes the way you experience life. Every day, your mind generates thoughts that influence how you feel, how you behave, and how you respond to challenges. Some thoughts give you strength, others drain your confidence. Many people struggle not because they lack ability, but because they allow unhelpful thoughts to repeat endlessly without noticing the impact. When you choose to repeat helpful thoughts each day, you begin to reshape the way your mind operates. You build mental patterns that support your growth rather than limit it. Your mindset improves when you take responsibility for the thoughts you allow to guide you. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing thoughts that help you move forward instead of thoughts that hold you back. Your mind naturally gravitates toward worry, doubt, or fear, especially when life is uncertain. But you can interrupt these patterns by introducing thoughts that strengthen resilience. When you repeat empowering thoughts daily, you train your brain to respond with clarity instead of panic. Helpful thoughts act like anchors. They keep you steady when stress or uncertainty appears. They remind you of your abilities when you begin to doubt yourself. They keep your focus on improvement rather than limitations. Most people underestimate how quickly negative thoughts can take control. A single unhelpful thought can lead to hesitation, procrastination, or discouragement, but a helpful thought can restore direction and influence your actions in a positive way. Repetition is key because the mind listens to what it hears most often. Daily repetition transforms helpful thoughts into mental habits. At first, the words may feel forced or unfamiliar. Over time, they become natural. The brain builds new pathways when you think the same idea repeatedly. This process strengthens your mindset in the same way that repeated physical actions strengthen your body. The more you practice helpful thoughts, the more easily they appear when you need them. A strong mindset is not based on sudden inspiration, but on daily repetition of thoughts that reinforce confidence, discipline, and calm. Improving your mindset also requires awareness. You need to notice the thoughts that weaken your focus. Many people allow negative thoughts to circulate without questioning them. When you become aware of these thoughts, you gain the power to replace them. Awareness makes it possible to interrupt patterns that lead to self-doubt or frustration. Once you recognize an unhelpful thought, you can consciously introduce a healthier one. This simple shift strengthens your mental resilience and helps you move through the day with greater control. Repeating helpful thoughts daily is most effective when the thoughts are simple and clear. Complicated statements do not stick in the mind as easily. Choose thoughts that are direct and meaningful. Thoughts like, "I can improve," "I am capable," "I can handle this," or "I will stay focused today," may seem small, but they carry powerful influence when repeated consistently. These thoughts redirect your attention to growth rather than fear. They create a sense of internal stability and remind you that improvement is possible at any moment. Helpful thoughts also counteract the habit of expecting the worst. Many people imagine negative outcomes before they even begin a task. This anticipation weakens confidence and slows progress. When you replace these patterns with thoughts that focus on solutions and strengths, you reduce unnecessary stress. You become more open to opportunities instead of preparing for failure. Daily repetition reinforces this shift and helps you build a mindset rooted in possibility. Your mindset also improves when you repeat thoughts that encourage patience. Growth takes time, and impatience often leads to frustration or quitting. When you repeat thoughts that remind you to stay patient, you reduce pressure. You focus on the process rather than rushing toward results. Thoughts like, "I will grow step by step," or "progress takes time," help you stay centered. They prevent you from falling into discouragement when improvement feels slow. Repeating helpful thoughts daily also strengthens emotional balance. When challenges arise, your emotional response often depends on what thoughts dominate your mind. If your thoughts are filled with panic, your emotions become unstable. If your thoughts remind you that you can handle difficulty, your emotions remain calm. Helpful thoughts do not eliminate stress, but they reduce its power. They help you approach challenges with a clear mind rather than reacting impulsively. Your mindset becomes even stronger when you choose thoughts that highlight your progress. When you recognize your improvement, even if it is small, you encourage continued effort. Many people overlook their progress because they focus only on what they have not yet achieved. Repeating thoughts that acknowledge your growth helps you build confidence. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of improvement. This belief influences your actions and strengthens your consistency. Daily repetition also improves your mindset by reducing self-criticism. Many people speak to themselves more harshly than they would ever speak to someone else. Harsh self-talk weakens your motivation and damages your confidence. When you repeat helpful thoughts, you replace self-criticism with self-support. You develop a kinder relationship with yourself. This self-support does not make you weak. It gives you the emotional strength to continue during difficult moments. Repeating helpful thoughts daily also helps you stay focused. The mind often wanders to unnecessary worries, memories, or distractions. When you repeat a thought that grounds you, your attention returns to the present moment. You become more aware of what you are doing rather than being pulled in multiple directions. This focus improves productivity and reduces wasted time. A focused mindset builds consistent progress. Your mindset also improves when you repeat thoughts that affirm your ability to learn. Many people limit themselves by believing they cannot improve in certain areas. They assume that skills or growth are fixed. When you repeat thoughts that reinforce your capacity to learn, you expand your potential. You become more open to new experiences, new challenges, and new skills. This belief in your ability to grow becomes a driving force that supports long-term improvement. Repeating helpful thoughts daily also helps you manage fear. Fear often appears when you step outside your comfort zone. It influences your actions in subtle ways, causing hesitation or avoidance. Helpful thoughts calm this fear. They remind you that discomfort is part of growth. They encourage you to take small steps rather than retreat. Over time, this practice reduces fear's influence. You become more willing to face new challenges without being held back by imagined outcomes. Another powerful benefit of repeating helpful thoughts is improved discipline. When you remind yourself each day that you are capable of staying consistent, you strengthen your commitment. Thoughts like, "I will stay disciplined today," or "I follow through on my responsibilities," guide your behavior. They influence your decisions throughout the day. Discipline becomes easier when your thoughts support your actions instead of fighting against them. Helpful thoughts also shape how you interpret difficulties. Without them, challenges may feel overwhelming. With them, challenges become manageable. You begin to see difficulties as temporary obstacles rather than permanent barriers. This perspective keeps you calm and focused. It helps you stay committed to your goals, even when the journey becomes demanding. Repeating helpful thoughts daily also builds mental endurance. Just as physical endurance requires training, mental endurance requires repetition. A strong mindset develops when you consistently feed it with supportive thoughts. Over time, your tolerance for stress, discomfort, and uncertainty increases. You become more resilient. You stop giving up easily because your mind is trained to support you, not sabotage you. Your mindset also improves when you repeat thoughts that encourage gratitude. Gratitude shifts your attention from what is lacking to what is working. When you remind yourself of your strengths, your opportunities, or the progress you have made, your perspective becomes more balanced. Gratitude helps you maintain emotional stability and reduces unnecessary frustration. This balanced mindset supports steady growth. Repeating helpful thoughts daily is not a quick fix. It is a practice that builds strength gradually. Some days the thoughts will feel natural, other days they may feel harder to believe. But repetition is what matters. The more you practice, the more your mind adapts. Over time, helpful thoughts become part of your internal voice. They shape the way you respond to life. Improving your mindset through daily repetition creates long-lasting change. You become more confident, more patient, and more disciplined. You approach challenges with clarity instead of fear. You transform your inner world, and that transformation influences every action you take. When your thoughts support your growth, your life begins to reflect that growth. You develop a mindset that works with you, not against you. Chapter 10. Protect your time to honor the growth you want. Protecting your time to honor the growth you want begins with realizing that time is the most valuable resource you have. Unlike money, energy, or opportunity, time cannot be restored once it is lost. Every day is a container filled with a certain number of hours, and the way you use those hours shapes the direction of your life. When you allow your time to slip through distractions, obligations, or decisions that do not support your growth, you lose more than minutes. You lose progress, clarity, and momentum. Protecting your time is not selfish. It is a necessary commitment to becoming the person you want to be. Your growth requires space. It requires focused moments where your attention is not scattered. It demands time that is dedicated to your improvement. When you do not protect your time, you leave your growth vulnerable to interruptions, demands, and pressures that do not align with your goals. Many people fail to improve not because they lack ability, but because they do not guard their time. They allow others to shape their schedule. They react to everything rather than choosing what deserves their attention. Protecting your time means choosing purpose over noise. The first step in protecting your time is understanding that not every request deserves your immediate response. Many people feel pressured to respond instantly to messages, calls, or invitations. This creates a cycle where your attention is constantly pulled in different directions. Your mind cannot focus when you are always available to interruptions. When you protect your time, you set clear boundaries. You decide when you will engage and when you will focus on yourself. This decision strengthens your discipline and safeguards your energy. Another important part of protecting your time is identifying what drains you. Certain tasks consume your hours without offering growth in return. You may spend too much time solving other people's problems, engaging in conversations that add no value, or participating in habits that weaken your focus. When you become aware of these time drains, you can make intentional choices. You can reduce or eliminate activities that slow you down. This clarity helps you create more room for improvement. Protecting your time also means recognizing when you need to say no. Many people struggle with this because they fear disappointing others. They agree to responsibilities that do not align with their goals, leaving little time for their own growth. But saying yes to everything means saying no to yourself. Respecting your time requires the courage to decline requests that pull you away from your purpose. You do not need to give explanations or apologies. You only need to honor your priorities. Your time also needs structure. Without structure, your hours may slip away unnoticed. Creating a clear schedule helps you direct your energy toward the tasks that matter. You choose when you work, when you rest, and when you focus on personal improvement. This structure does not need to be rigid. It simply needs to support your goals. When your schedule reflects your growth, you stop feeling lost or overwhelmed. You become more intentional and more productive. Protecting your time also requires creating routines that guide your actions. Routines reduce decision fatigue because you already know what needs to be done. When your routine supports your growth, you do not waste time deciding how to start your day. You move naturally into habits that strengthen your discipline. A strong routine protects your time by preventing you from drifting into actions that do not matter. Another powerful way to protect your time is to limit your exposure to unnecessary noise. The world is full of information that competes for your attention. Social media, news, gossip, and entertainment can consume hours without offering anything valuable in return. When you protect your time, you control what you allow into your mind. You choose information that benefits your growth and avoid content that distracts you. This decision builds mental clarity and helps you stay focused. Protecting your time also involves recognizing when you are wasting it. Self-honesty is essential. You need to acknowledge when you are procrastinating, avoiding responsibility, or engaging in habits that offer temporary comfort but long-term stagnation. This honesty is not meant to shame you. It helps you realign your actions with your goals. When you become aware of your patterns, you can adjust them. You take back control of your time instead of letting your impulses control it. Your time is also influenced by the people you surround yourself with. Some people respect your goals and support your improvement. Others drain your energy and demand time that you cannot afford to give. Protecting your time means choosing your company carefully. You do not need to remove people from your life entirely, but you must limit your exposure to anyone who weakens your focus or pulls you away from your purpose. Growth requires an environment that nourishes your mind, not one that depletes it. Protecting your time also means valuing rest. Many people assume that protecting time is only about productivity, but rest is essential for long-term improvement. When you rest intentionally, you recharge your mind and body. You return to your responsibilities with greater energy and clarity. Rest is not a waste of time. It is an investment in your growth. When you ignore rest, you burn out. When you honor rest, you sustain your progress. Your time must also be protected from scattered thinking. The mind can wander into worries, regrets, and imagined scenarios. This mental drift consumes time without producing anything helpful. Practicing presence helps you stay grounded. When you focus on the task in front of you, you use your time wisely. You become more productive because your thoughts are aligned with your actions. Presence strengthens your ability to remain consistent, even in busy or stressful situations. Another part of protecting your time is recognizing the value of moments that seem small. A few minutes of intention can create powerful progress. Many people underestimate the impact of small time blocks. They wait for long hours of free time before taking action. But improvement happens in small intervals. When you protect even short periods of time, you support steady growth. You stop losing hours to indecision and start using them with purpose. Protecting your time requires being clear about your priorities. You cannot protect what you have not defined. When you know what matters most, you can guard your time with confidence. Your priorities become the filter through which you make decisions. If something aligns with your growth, it receives your time. If it does not, you let it go. This clarity prevents confusion and strengthens your commitment to improvement. Another essential idea is simplifying your life. When your life is filled with unnecessary commitments, your time disappears quickly. Simplification removes clutter from your schedule. You become more organized, more focused, and more aware of how each moment is spent. Simplifying your life does not mean removing everything. It means removing what no longer contributes to your growth. You create space for what truly matters. Protecting your time also means being intentional with your energy. Time and energy work together. When your energy is low, time loses value. You may have hours available, but your mind is not capable of using them well. Protecting your time involves maintaining habits that support your energy, such as sleep, movement, and mental clarity. When your energy is stable, your time becomes more productive. This connection helps you use each day effectively. You also protect your time by avoiding unnecessary conflict. Arguments, misunderstandings, and emotional drama consume enormous amounts of time and mental energy. When you choose calm over chaos, you save hours that would otherwise be wasted. You do not need to engage in every disagreement. You can walk away from negativity. This decision does not make you weak. It demonstrates maturity. Protecting your peace is another form of protecting your time. Another key to protecting your time is planning for obstacles. Life does not always follow your schedule. Unexpected events can disrupt your routine. When you create flexible backup plans, you can stay committed even when circumstances shift. Flexibility helps you protect your time because it prevents setbacks from turning into complete interruptions. You adjust rather than abandon your efforts. You protect your time by treating it as something sacred. When you view your time as valuable, you use it with intention. You stop entertaining distractions that lead you nowhere. You approach each day with clarity. You honor your goals by giving them the time they deserve. This mindset transforms your relationship with your schedule. Time is no longer something you spend carelessly. It becomes something you invest wisely. Protecting your time to honor the growth you want is an ongoing practice. It requires awareness, discipline, courage, and clarity. It requires saying no when it matters, creating structure where chaos appears, and choosing purpose over comfort. When you protect your time, you protect your future. You create space for improvement. You build a life that reflects your values. You move closer to the person you want to become because your actions are no longer controlled by distractions, demands, or pressure. Your growth deserves time. Your goals deserve attention. Your dreams deserve space. Protect your time, and you protect your potential. You give yourself the chance to grow with intention, discipline, and strength. When you safeguard your hours, you build a life that supports your highest self, one decision, one choice, and one protected moment at a time.